Love your body, own your confidence, and don't let anyone tell you who you're supposed to be. This was what Meghan Trainor sold to the world, and for a while, it worked well. Body positivity made Meghan Trainor famous, but she had no idea that it would soon become the trap she could never escape. To most people, Meghan Trainor is still the all-about-that-bass girl, the bright, retro-pop singer who turned body confidence into one of the biggest songs of the 2000s. But there was a problem. The same message that made Meghan famous also set the exact standard by which people would judge her for the next decade, and what looked like Meghan's biggest strength would slowly become the trap she could never escape. But that confident image was not where her story started, and understanding how it started makes everything that came after a lot more complicated. Meghan was born in Nantucket, Massachusetts. By 11, she was already writing and recording songs on GarageBand. By 12, she was performing with her family band, Island Fusion. In other words, Meghan was not discovered because she looked like a pop star. Her first real currency in the industry was her songwriting ability. Meghan wrote for several mainstream artists before her own breakthrough. These included Jennifer Lopez, Fifth Harmony, and Rascal Flatts. At the time, she never considered herself capable of becoming a pop star, and felt more comfortable writing lyrics for others because she considered herself one of the chubby girls who would never be an artist. Then 2013 changed her trajectory. Trainor's boss at Big Yellow Dog put her together with Kevin Kadish. Kevin was a 42-year-old producer, and his portfolio included songs by Jason Mraz and Stacey Orico. Trainor and Kadish bonded over their love for 50s music. Trainor later addressed this story and said that she and Kadish came up with All About That Bass on a random day in the studio. And at the time, her main goal was not trying to start a cultural movement, but to impress the producer. Once All About That Bass was released on June 30th, 2014, it blew past anything Meghan or Kadish had imagined. The song exploded, climbed all the way to #1 on the US Billboard Hot 100, and sold more than 1 million copies worldwide.
If you got beauty, just raise them up, 'cause every inch of you is perfect from the bottom to the top.
Almost overnight, it turned Meghan Trainor from a behind-the-scenes songwriter into a full-blown pop star, who turned listeners into fans in no time. But the exact moment All About That Bass went supernova, the internet began fighting over it. The song's core argument was to love your curves and embrace your body. Trainor's core idea resonated with millions of women who felt unseen in pop culture because it was way too dominated by size zero ideals. It was a stunning debut for an unknown artist. The music video has since blew past 2.7 billion views on YouTube. But the bigger the song became, the more people started listening closely to what it was actually saying. And almost immediately, the same anthem that made Meghan the face of body positivity gave critics their first reason to question her. Almost immediately, people started noticing a problem. The song was being sold as a body confidence anthem, but some of the lyrics did not sound like body acceptance at all. Some raised eyebrows, including the line, "I'm bringing booty back, go ahead and tell them skinny bitches that."
I'm all about that bass, hey. I'm bringing booty back. Go ahead and tell them skinny bitches.
And, "I won't be no stick figure silicone Barbie doll."
Be no stick figure silicone Barbie doll.
The contradiction was blatantly obvious. Some of the viewers didn't like that. In order to make a statement against fat phobia, Trainor was trying to put down women of another body type. I liked the message, until she started calling thin people stick figure silicone Barbie dolls and skinny bitches. That's exactly how ignorant people/bullies treat overweight people, calling them names to denigrate and body shame them. So she's no hair better than they are. And for a song aimed at young listeners, this made the message feel even messier. Because instead of telling girls that everybody was acceptable, critics felt it was just replacing one kind of body shaming with another. However, some of the more intense criticism went beyond the skinny women line because the song seemed to root curvy body confidence in male approval. Some listeners argued that the whole song feels less like self-love and more like a different version of the same beauty standard. A lot of frustrated viewers still supported the body-positive idea. A lot of them liked the idea Meghan was trying to push. They just felt the message became hypocritical the second it resorted to insults to make its point. I wish this song didn't hate on skinny girls so much. Just because someone is overweight or skinny doesn't change how they are as a person. Calling skinny girls bitches because of their weight is wrong. This also goes for slightly curvier, thicker, heavier girls too. Meghan was aware of the criticism and she responded to it, saying that she never intended to body shame smaller women. And when Billboard asked her about the backlash, she explained that people had misunderstood the point. But I'm not bashing skinny girls. Some girls have commented, "I'm a size 0, so you must hate me." But that's not it at all. There have been battles on my YouTube page like, "You don't know what she's talking about. She's actually saying, 'I know even you skinny girls struggle.'" And to be fair, her defenders did have a real argument, so real that some of them are stronger than her critics wanted to admit. Her fans were of the view that much of the hate overshot the evidence. A user on Reddit believed that she was attacking the fashion industry, impossible beauty standards, and the pressure placed on women to shrink themselves. I think it more criticizes society's and the fashion industry's body image problem more than digging at skinny people directly. And that defense made sense to a lot of people, because at the time, pop culture really was dominated by a very narrow idea of beauty. Meghan's fans believed she was pushing back against that, even if she did it clumsily. I'm so sick of everyone criticizing this song because they just feel like hating on someone. She's not saying that being fat is healthy. She's saying girls shouldn't be starving themselves to look pretty. And she isn't saying skinny people are bitches, she's simply joking around. It's a fun and humorous song about people embracing who they are. So, in a way, the same song that put Trainor in the spotlight and made her a pop icon promoting body positivity became the first crack in this very image. However, considering the success this song went on to enjoy, it's fair to say that the early criticism was mostly overshadowed by the praise. But before the hate could settle down completely, another interview line pulled her back into trouble, and this time, it was much harder to explain away as a misunderstood lyric. On September 3rd, 2014, during an interview with Entertainment Tonight, Meghan was asked about body image. And instead of giving the safe, polished answer people expected from the new face of body confidence, she said,
I wasn't strong enough to have an eating disorder, actually. I tried to go anorexic for a good 3 hours. I ate ice and celery, but that's not even anorexic, and I quit. I was like, "Ma, can you make me a sandwich?" Like, immediately.
The retaliation was swift, and the line spread fast across entertainment blogs and social media. For a lot of people, it was shocking to hear Meghan talk about such a serious illness, as if it were just a failed diet experiment. People were furious and disappointed, not because they expected Meghan to have every answer, but because this came from someone who had just become famous for speaking about body confidence. I can't believe she actually said this to someone who had an eating disorder. That's so disrespectful and also very stupid of her. This offends me so much because I've had an eating disorder for almost 2 years, and her saying, "I tried anorexia for 3 hours then quit," is so fucking... She needs to educate herself before saying shit like this. To make it even worse, Demi Lovato, who had publicly spoken about her own struggles with eating disorders, also addressed this situation without naming Meghan directly. Having an eating disorder doesn't show strength. Strength is when you're able to overcome your demons after being sick and tired for so long. This predictably made the backlash even worse, which quickly outgrew one awkward interview line and turned into a bigger question. It was about whether the pop star being praised for body positivity actually understood the seriousness of the issue she had accidentally stepped into. Pop culture outlets, including She Knows, and Latin Post ran the story within days, with Lovato's response being treated as the more informed and credible voice. And this became one of the first major moments where Meghan's public image started working against her, because if she had not been marketed as a body confidence artist, the backlash may not have been as intense. Fortunately for Meghan, was able to move past the controversy without ever making a public apology. Later that same year, on September 8th, she dropped her next single, Dear Future Husband. The song carried the same playful energy. It was built around a list of demands for her future husband: flowers, dates, apologies, and old-school chivalry. Take me on a date. I deserve it, babe. And don't forget the flowers every anniversary, 'cause if you treat me right, I'll be the perfect wife. But the more interesting part was its video. Meghan was styled as a 1950s housewife scrubbing floors and baking pies. And once again, people were split. Some viewers saw it as harmless, tongue-in-cheek pop music, but others thought Meghan had walked straight into another messy message. Because in the song, she lists everything she expects from her future husband, but when it comes to what she offers in return, the lyrics mostly point to buying groceries. The song is sexist because it reinforces those roles instead of subverting them. In the lyrics, Trainor presents herself as a stereotypical housewife whose only wants and needs are superficial: flowers, sex, jewelry, who demands that her own faults be ignored, even when I'm acting crazy, and promises to reward the husband with domestic duties. But like before, the reaction was not completely one-sided. While some listeners found the lyrics offensive, others thought people were taking the song too seriously. I understand how people find this sexist, because there are many of those lines in the song. There are also lines where she says she has a 9 to 5 and won't be staying home cooking. I'm taking the stance that this is a throwback to classic dating, which I think has really gone out the door for this generation. I'd pick this song over some song about twerking and stripping. There are definitely outdated gender roles in this video, but I think she's trying to be funny, not offensive. People are completely missing the meaning of this video. The song is just playful and cutesy, but if you pay attention to the video, you'll understand what she's trying to get at. They did all these extravagant things for her. Fancy dinner, winning her a prize, taking her on a gondola. But at the end, the last guy brings a pizza so they can just hang out. I think she was trying to show that she just wants a simple man with simple taste and can have fun. Unlike before, Trainor responded directly to the criticism in an April 2015 MTV interview, saying she was surprised the random places people are asking me if I was being sexist. By this point, 2 retro-styled singles had put Meghan in a strange position. The same old-school image that made her music feel playful and recognizable was also forcing people to question whether she understood the history behind the aesthetic she kept using. So by 2016, Meghan clearly knew she could not stay in that lane forever. The doo-wop sound had made her famous, but it had also made her easy target. And if she wanted people to take her seriously beyond the retro pop gimmick, her next era had to prove that the confidence she sold was not just a costume. That pressure became even more obvious in March 2016, when Epic Records chairman L.A. Reid reportedly told her that her new material still did not have a strong lead single. Meghan then went into the studio with producer Ricky Reed, and together they wrote No. The song was a sharp pivot from the bright, throwback sound people associated with her. Instead of building confidence around romance, body image, or old-school femininity, No was about rejection, boundaries, and a woman refusing to soften herself just because a man wanted access to her. I don't want to dance. I don't need your hands all over me. If I want a man, then I'ma get a man, but it's never my priority. I was in my zone before you came along. Don't want you to take this personal. With this song, she seemed determined to prove that the feminist message people kept accusing her of mishandling was something she actually believed in. After being criticized for sounding too dependent on male approval in All About That Bass and too old-fashioned in Dear Future Husband, No felt like her attempt to answer those accusations through the music itself. In her Time interview, she described the label friction bluntly, saying, "It was definitely a war with my label and my management," and recalled that she and Reid set out to write something nobody would expect from her. L.A. Reid loved the result so much that he asked for 5 more songs just like it. So, No proved Trainor could survive changing her sound on purpose and still make the message work. But her next single would test something even harder, because if No was about defending a woman's right to control how men saw her, then Me Too pushed that same idea into an even more personal space, the right to celebrate yourself without being edited into someone else's version of confidence. In May 2016, Trainor dropped the Me Too music video. Fans noticed something off within hours. Screenshots were circulating everywhere that showed Trainor's waist had been digitally slimmed. The irony was embarrassingly obvious. This was the same artist who became famous singing about rejecting the fake, photoshopped beauty standards pushed by magazines, and now, her own music video seemed to have done the exact thing her brand was supposed to stand against. Unlike some of her earlier controversies, Meghan didn't let it slide the way she had before. The Photoshop scandal became the rare controversy she actually controlled. She quickly pushed back on Snapchat, insisting that her real waist looked nothing like the edited version. She also said the video would stay down until the edited waist was corrected.
Hey guys, I took down the Me Too video because they photoshopped the crap out of me and I'm so sick of it and I'm over it, so I took it down until they fix it.
Meghan later said she screamed in her room and cried when she realized what had happened. She started calling everyone she could think of, asking them to take the video down.
I told them to fix it ASAP Rocky because I will be going to Times Square to play it for my fans, so I hope they fix it for me, and I am sorry about this.
And in a later Howard Stern interview, she explained exactly what she had and had not approved. She described herself as the industry's poster child for no Photoshop, and said she personally called label executives L.A. Reid and Sylvia Rhone to demand the video come down. And within 24 hours, the edited version was gone, and the corrected video was uploaded. For once, Meghan controlled the controversy before it could fully control her. It's amazing that she took the original down because they photoshopped her to make her look skinny. But just when internet communities thought that Meghan had matured, she did something that was hard for the internet to look away from. Because soon, Meghan entered a completely different kind of public image problem. One that was about how much of her private life she was suddenly willing to share into public entertainment. Meghan had always come across as goofy, affectionate, overly honest, and comfortable, making herself the joke. For fans, that made her feel accessible in a way many pop stars were not. But for the internet, that same openness also made her easier to mock. Because the more casual Meghan became in public, the more often people felt she was sharing things they never asked to know. That tension became even more obvious through her relationship with Daryl Sabra. To fans, they seem wholesome, affectionate, and genuinely in love. To everyone else, they can come across like the couple who tells you way too much information before you even ask. And in October 2021, Meghan gave the internet a story it was never going to let go of. During a podcast appearance, she revealed that she and Daryl had installed 2 toilets right next to each other in their new house, so they could use the bathroom at the same time. The story instantly became one of those celebrity anecdotes that sounds fake until you realize the celebrity said it themselves. And once it spread, there was no putting it back. This was not a career-ending thing, nor was it offensive in the way some of her earlier comments had been, but it was deeply, permanently mockable. After the story went viral, she addressed it on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, saying,
I didn't know it was going to be such a big deal. That's why I casually brought it up on a podcast. But yeah, when we moved into this new house, and you get up all throughout the night with the baby, and you gotta pee, and there were so many moments where I was like, move, I was like, I have to go.
Yeah.
And so when we moved to this new house, I was like, I have an extra toilet. Can I just pop them next to each other? Like, just do it, get it done. And they did it, and like, it's the best thing I ever did.
So instead of walking it back, Meghan leaned into it. Days later, she clarified on Twitter that the pooping together part was a one-time thing they had agreed never to repeat, while still affectionately confirming the rest of the story. And because the story was embarrassing rather than offensive, Meghan could mostly laugh her way through it, but that would not be true for every viral moment that followed. The post-pandemic comeback is where things got strategically interesting. In 2022, Made You Look became her biggest mainstream hit in years, and a huge part of that comeback came from TikTok. Billboard noted that the song spawned a widespread dance trend and peaked at number 11 on the Hot 100. It was her first top 20 hit since 2016. After 6 years of commercially underperforming, she was back, but TikTok can build a song up just as quickly as it can tear it down. Because Meghan had another viral hit, she started leaning even harder into internet culture and released the song Mother on March 10th, 2023. For some context, the word mother is used for a woman seen as iconic and culturally powerful, especially in queer online spaces. Meghan tried to claim that status directly, turning the hook into a command with the lyric, "I am your mother," and building the song around the idea that people should stop talking over her and start listening. But the internet users accused her of trying to manufacture a mother moment instead of earning one. She's trying so hard to be a gay icon, it's kinda sad. Pink News covered the queer community's specific reaction directly, laying out the mismatch between how Mother is supposed to work online and how Trainor used it. But other music outlets read the song more generously. A Music Talker's review framed the lyrics as commentary on Meghan being talked over by men in the industry, rather than just an awkward attempt to borrow queer slang. Trainor later described the song as inspired after Silly Men told her that having a baby would destroy her career. However, she remained silent on the specific complaint about borrowing the queer slang, which meant the Mother backlash faded without ever really being answered. But the next backlash would not be that easy to leave behind, because instead of offending a corner of internet culture, Meghan managed to anger a real-world profession that was already exhausted, underpaid, and used to being blamed for problems much bigger than itself. On April 19th, 2023, during an episode of her podcast, Meghan was in conversation with Trisha Paytas about motherhood. And at first, the topic was serious. Meghan talked about being scared to send her son to a school where he might need a bulletproof backpack. Then the conversation shifted to homeschooling, and Trisha opened up about being bullied by teachers growing up. That was when Meghan agreed and added the line that instantly took over the internet. "Fuck teachers, dude."
Yeah, no, but
we're homeschooling our kids.
Same. I think everyone
Fuck
should.
that.
Like,
Everyone on TikTok is. They're like, this is what it's like to have a kid in school in America. I have a bulletproof backpack. I was like, fuck all that.
Like that, but also
Bullying.
kids can be mean. Teachers, that was my trauma. Teachers,
Fuck
and
teachers,
you know.
dude.
But then also, yeah, the violence. I mean, I think it's just that thing. It's not even private school. It's just like having them homeschooled.
We're homeschooling.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly, teachers flooded the comments, and a lot of them were understandably furious. As a teacher, it's really disheartening to hear Meghan say that about teachers. Not all teachers are bad teachers. I want all my students to feel supported, successful, and loved. We are there to make an impact on our students' lives. Yes, our job is dangerous, but we do it because many others will not. Because to educators, Meghan was taking real fears about school safety, bullying, and broken institutions, and somehow aiming the anger at teachers themselves. As a former teacher, I'm absolutely floored that Meghan would say F teachers. I worked 12-hour days and weekends, spent money out of my own pocket, sacrificed my mental and physical health to provide a safe and supportive learning environment for my students. The clip quickly spread all over the internet, with outrage heading her way from every direction. 4 days after the episode aired, Trainor posted a TikTok apology apology explaining that she, Paytas, and her husband had each been bullied by specific teachers in the past.
I had Trisha Paytas on the podcast, and I knew her history with her teachers. And I knew my husband's history with his teachers, and I was bullied by some teachers. So in that moment, I got angry and said,
And she said her comment was aimed at those individual teachers, not the entire profession.
F teachers, F those specific human beings back in the day, but I did not mean that to all teachers. I love teachers. I fight for teachers. I think they have the hardest job and they're the most underpaid.
To Meghan's credit, the response was cleaner than many of her earlier attempts at damage control. She did not pretend people misunderstood for no reason. She got on camera, explained what she meant, and apologized quickly. But a couple of years later, Meghan would face a controversy that she could not simply apologize her way out of. In 2025, Meghan Trainor somehow re-entered the exact same body discourse she launched in 2014, but from the opposite side. In March 2025, Trainor posted on Instagram that she'd lost roughly 60 pounds after the second pregnancy. She credited a combination of diet changes, training, and the GLP-1 medication Mounjaro, and taken by itself, that explanation was not hard to understand. Meghan was a mother of two. She wanted to feel better in her body, and unlike many celebrities who hide the medical help behind vague language about discipline and clean eating, she was being direct about what she used. But Meghan was never going to be judged like a random celebrity weight loss story because her body had never been just a body in the public imagination. It was tied to the song that made her famous, the brand that made people root for her, and the promise that she was rejecting the beauty standards that told women they needed to shrink themselves to be accepted. So the moment she revealed the weight loss, the conversation immediately snapped back to all about that base. People were not just reacting to a smaller Meghan. They were reacting to the feeling that the artist who once made confidence sound like resistance was now being celebrated for the exact kind of transformation her original message seemed to push against. And before that debate could even cool down, Meghan added cosmetic surgery to the conversation. In March 2025, Trainor announced that she had undergone a breast lift and augmentation through a paid partnership with Motive USA.
Hey everyone, it's Meghan Trainor, and I've got some big news to share. Yep, I got my boobs done. So recently, I've decided to do something just for me. I got a breast lift and augmentation with Motiva implants. Finally!
That's when the reaction completely blew out of proportion. By April 2025, the conversation had become so focused on Meghan's appearance that even at the Billboard Women in Music event, red carpet interviewers asked more about her body instead of her music.
Look freaking fantastic. You're giving us a little sexy look tonight.
Thank you, yes.
Comment sections on her own posts were split between supportive fans, and others arguing that profiting from a body acceptance anthem and then visibly remaking that body amounted to a betrayal of the original message, with some commenters explicitly invoking her decade-old lyrics about refusing to change herself for anyone. The self-proclaimed Love Yourself anthem girl has been swept into veneers, Botox, hair extensions, heavy makeup, and breast implants, losing the very identity she once preached. Trainor preempted the hypocrisy charge by acknowledging she no longer looked the way she did a decade earlier and framing the change as something done for her health and her children.
It's crazy. Yeah, the world's getting crazier and meaner and they're louder. And I'm like, is it because they're getting louder or is it because I'm getting worse? Like, what's happening? And I'm not. I'm literally, for the first time ever, after having babies, taking care of my health to the highest level. And I've never felt better. And I look incredible. I feel great.
Responding to the Women in Music red carpet questions, she posted that it was a little disheartening that so many of the questions were focused on my body rather than her music or career. Then, on May 10th, 2025, came the moment that broke everything. At KIIS-FM's Wango Tango, Meghan performed All About That Bass, but instead of singing the original line, "Yeah, it's pretty clear, I ain't no size 2.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. I ain't no size 2.
She switched it to, "Yeah, it's pretty clear, I got some new boobs."
Yeah, it's pretty clear. I got some.
And as you can predict, the reaction online sharply split. Some fans called her great and perfect, others argued the opposite. Trainor never issued a statement specifically defending the lyric swap itself. She treated it as self-evident, a confident aside rather than something requiring an explanation, which is its own kind of statement. Her broader defense of the changed body came later that November, across a string of interviews. To Entertainment Tonight, she said,
After having babies, taking care of my health to the highest level. And I've never felt better. And I look incredible. I feel great.
You really do.
And that's when people attack me. I was like, what?
To Extra, she described the comments as straightforwardly cruel. She also folded the entire arc into her music, releasing Still Don't Care that November.
Meghan, who is firing back at haters with her new single, Still Don't Care, out now, has been open about her 60-pound slim down. In addition to weight loss injections, she turned to strength training and revamped her diet.
The lyrics talked about being her criticized for being too heavy, then for being too thin and never able to win either way. That is where Meghan's story finally circles back on itself. Still Don't Care was meant to sound like freedom, but it also showed how much of her career had become a reply to the people judging her. Even her refusal to care still needed the criticism to push against. That is the trap she never fully escaped. Meghan Trainor built her career on confidence, but the public turned that confidence into a contract. And once she decided she was done with that branding, every change started looking like a contradiction. Every explanation started to sound like damage control, and every attempt to move forward got dragged back to the same question. What happens when the woman who taught people to love themselves no longer wants to be measured by the version of self-love that made her famous? And that is why Meghan Trainor's body-positive brand did not collapse in one scandal. It collapsed slowly. Every time the audience saw her changing and could not decide whether it was growth, hypocrisy, or just a woman trying to survive the message she accidentally turned into a cage.